At the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, people were saying that it didn't affect animals. Now, it seems that that thinking has now changed.
Yes, we know it can affect animals. I don't know, because the original SARS virus could affect animals, so I don't really know why people thought it wouldn't affect animals now, the current one.
Especially as it probably came from an animal in the first place.
Yes, or a virology lab in Wuhan province, depending on how much of a conspiracy theorist you are.
Something I find quite interesting, I follow I was brought up in Hong Kong, and I follow a blog that a Hong Kong writer writes about all sorts of things. And the thing that I find it interesting is that she refers to it as the Wuhan coronavirus, where everybody else in the world is calling people who call it the Chinese virus, is calling them racist, whereas she, who is Chinese, in a province of China, is referring to it as the Wuhan coronavirus.
Well, it's a bit of difference between blaming an entire race of people and just referring to a region it came from, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. So what animals do we know that it can affect?
Dogs and cats have tested positive. Mink have tested positive. Ferrets have tested positive. It seems to be, mice and rats seem to be a bit more immune to it, which is actually a bit of a problem when you think about research, how often they get used in research. Pigs have historically, I think, been considered vulnerable, which could be a problem when you consider how widely pig products go into the food chain. But I don't think studies so far have shown infection of pigs. Chickens and ducks don't seem to get infected. So, there's a lot of things that can be.
I've read that big cats in zoos are testing positive.
There was one tiger at the Bronx Zoo in New York that tested positive. When was that? That was beginning of April. So, yes, they did have a lot of the... several of the tigers and some lions had symptoms, but they only tested one because it requires an anaesthetic to test a tiger, so they didn't consider that it was worth the risk knocking them all out to get swabs from them. They only tested the one and assumed that it had spread to the others, which is reasonable.
You can't really stroke it and say, "Come on, puss, and sit on my knee while I take some samples."
No, unless you're the Tiger King, maybe.
I haven't seen that yet. Is it as irresistible watching as everybody says?
It's just a bit of a train wreck, really. It's just like take the population of an American talk show and just extend it out into a series.
I think you have just probably given the most succinct description I've ever heard of it.
You'll have to watch it and see what you think.
Yes, your sister tells me I should watch it as well.
Yeah.
If a cat has tested positive for it, can it spread it to humans?
There's no evidence so far in the field or in studies that it could, but at the same time, I don't really see why it couldn't.
How would a cat pick it up?
Well, all the cases of dogs and cats and tigers and minks so far have been from humans. There's been human to animal transmission, so like a reverse zoonosis. In the Chinese research, they did have transmission. So, and they've all been in contact with human COVID-19 patients. So, people cough and sneeze on their pets like they would other people, I suppose.
What's the prognosis if your pussycat has COVID-19? What's the prognosis for it?
Good. No reported case of a cat dying from it. Cats seem more likely to show symptoms, but none of them have died. They've all got better and had mild symptoms. The tigers and lions in the zoo have all got better. The reported pet cats have all got better. There's a report earlier this week, actually, about a dog in the Netherlands that was put down, sadly, with respiratory symptoms, and it's been reported by the mainstream media as euthanasia due to COVID-19. I don't know. It was the dog tested positive for antibodies, and its owner had COVID-19, and the dog was put to sleep with breathing problems, and they said, the dog had COVID, but I don't actually know that you can say that was the case.
No, the dog had breathing problems and also tested positive for COVID. They're not necessarily the same thing.
No, especially as it tested positive on antibody testing. I've not seen anywhere that it actually had a swab taken for sort of virus infection. The antibodies will only prove it has been exposed at some point. And moreover, it must have been exposed 2 to 3 weeks before the blood sample was taken to be seropositive.
Out of interest, there's been a lot of discussion about human COVID-19 that the antibodies do not necessarily mean that... Hello?
Hello?
You still there?
Yep.
Okay, I've got someone might coming in the other line, we can go away. There's a lot of just let's wait till it stops going away. You're doing excellently, by the way.
Okay.
You're doing perfectly. Everything was going well until this goddamn incoming beep. Okay. There's been a lot of talk and discussion about human COVID-19 cases, that there are people with antibodies, and there is now a antibody test that the government seems impressed with, seems comfortable with, but it's still not known whether having antibodies in your system means that you're immune, or at least partially immune, or temporarily immune to it. Is there any knowledge about immunity in animals?
I don't think there's any knowledge that I'm aware of immunity in animals to the SARS virus. I'm not aware of any information about the SARS, the COVID-19 virus, duration of immunity in animals. Cats have had their own coronavirus for a long time, and that's been studied extensively. And we know that those cats don't become immune for life, having been infected. They can be reinfected, multiple times. So it's a coronavirus like the one that's circulating now. It's not the same type of coronavirus. The one that causes COVID-19 is a beta coronavirus, I believe, whereas the feline one is an alpha coronavirus. I don't know enough about viruses to know how different their behaviour would be based on that classification, but cats are not immune for life from their coronavirus, and I have no idea whether humans will be from theirs. Coronavirus is one of the causes of the common cold as well, which, we keep getting reinfected with, and I don't know if that's literally a different virus each time, or whether it is possible for humans to be reinfected with the same common cold viruses. You'd have to ask the doctor.
Well, people have been trying to get a cure for common cold since at least the 1930s.
Time and hydration.
I think brandy, chocolate, and going to bed for a long time.
Well, yes, it's not a good idea to... I don't know, I think it's a good idea to rest when you've got cold. As a nation, we're not very good at doing that. I'm not very good at doing that. I tend to keep going to work and carry on, but... I read that book by that heart surgeon. What's it called? Famous heart surgeon wrote a book, and the number of cases he had in there of like myocardial, viral-induced myocarditis causing heart failure was frightening. Where normal people with no pre-existing heart disease, got a cold virus, and the next thing they're in heart failure.
That's a very jolly subject to end on, Josh. Thank you for that. The full thing... Well, hang on a second. Hello, Louis. Hello?
Hello.
Can you stay where you are, mate? I'm just on the other line. Stay there. That will be going out on the Patreon thing probably tomorrow, and an edited version will be going out on track next week sometime.